Hey guys, Raven here. Today I wanted to put out a brief guide on weapon enchantments in Oblivion Remastered, specifically the best weapon enchantment for damage. TLDR for those of you with limited time, here is the best weapon enchantment, in this exact order. Soul Trap for 1 second, Shock Damage 13 points for 1 second, Weakness to Shock 100% for 3 seconds, and Weakness to Magicka 100% for 3 seconds, all enchanted by a Grand Soul Gem. If you're the type of person that'll just take my word for it, you can click off now. And also, I just got this email from my Nigerian prince about sharing his fortune. Just kidding. I appreciate you watching the video, and I'm happy to have provided you with a quick and easy answer. For everyone else that wants to see the math and explanations, let's dive in. As always, timestamps in the description below for each of the sections for quick reference. Before we begin, as a brief aside, with the remaster change to the damage formula, in no longer allowing you to fortify your fatigue to increase the weapon's physical damage, the actual damage of a longsword versus a dagger versus a warhammer is sadly irrelevant. The largest disparity in base damage is between the rusty iron dagger, the variety found outside the tutorial because the one in the tutorial is a special case for some reason, with a base damage of 3 versus the amber warhammer's damage of 29. Now, if this was the whole story, obviously the warhammer having over 9 times the damage of the dagger would mean that the larger weapon was the obvious choice. Sadly, if you were optimizing, whether from the pure enjoyment of min-maxing or because you need to have the highest advantage possible to best match difficulty, physical damage will be dwarfed by the elemental damage you're doing. Therefore, base damage is irrelevant, leaving only weapon speed as the primary driver of damage per second. And what weapon has the highest swing speed among all weapons? The club? Okay, honestly, this is baffling to me. I think it's probably an oversight. Across the board in the remaster, weapons have had a nerf in speed since Classic, with the club being the sole exception. I guess you could make the argument that the devs wanted to buff clubs. That just seems like a weird design decision to me, given that the club is the only weapon class to not have scaling varieties. I mean, hell, even Akaviri katanas and cutlasses have variants, and how many of those are there? It's possible that this oversight will get fixed in a future patch, and therefore I don't want to make any long-standing claims that the club is the best weapon in the game based on this audit. So, functionally, daggers are the best. But wait, let's back up. I haven't even given you proof that physical damage doesn't matter. Silly me. Let's go to the spreadsheet. So, all the things that play into weapon damage are here. Governing attribute, associated skill level, repair status of the weapon, all compounding together in this lovely formula to give us our total maximum damage with each weapon. Man, I love formulas. Ooh, I should make that into an acronym. Man, I love... Wait. Anyways, so the difference between the worst damage weapon in the game and the best is a total of 31.08 damage. Let me show you why that is completely irrelevant. Enter enchanting. I'm going to save us all a lot of time and just say this flat out. Elemental damage is king. This is because there are separate weakness to X each of the elemental damage spells, whereas an enchantment like Absorb Health is only affected by weakness to magic. Elemental spells get an additional level of multiplier that makes their scaling go bonkers. Let's see a quick demonstration of the damage difference. So here we have damage to shock, and here is Absorb Health. Shock gets both of its weakness spell effects, while Absorb only gets the magic weakness. Just look in that difference by 10 swings. Wow. In either case, however, it's plain to see that the magical damage far outstrips the paltry 30 damage difference of the weapons. So, elemental damage. Got a couple of factors to consider here. First, enchantments function essentially as custom spells, with various limitations. No self-casting, and we have a total upper limit of 85 magicka cost. Ergo, we can use spellcrafting rules to inform our decisions. As we can see on the spreadsheet, magicka cost of the enchantment is determined by 4 components: base cost, magnitude, duration, area. Different spell effects have different base costs. The ones that we are looking at today are shock, fire, frost, weakness, to any of the elements. They all cost the same. Weakness to magic, and Soul Trap. Pretty easy to see here that the damage effects are the most expensive by far, with Shock just barely edging out Fire and Frost as the most expensive. All of these multiply together in this lovely formula to give us our total cost in Magicka here, in these 3 helpfully color-coded boxes. What does this all mean? I'm glad you asked, imaginary viewer. There are 2 reasons the Magicka cost matters. In addition to the hard upper limit of 85 Magicka worth of enchantment or less, the cost of your enchantment is delivered on a per swing basis. Sliding over a little on our chart, we see that the various amounts of Magicka that each type of soul gem provides are listed. 150 for petty, 300 for lesser, and so on. The number of charges your weapon has is equal to the total Magicka of the soul gem that you use to enchant with, divided by the Magicka cost of your enchantment. For convenience sake, I always recommend enchanting with Grand Souls on your weapon, even to the detriment of your armor and robe enchantment. The reason for this is that armor enchantments, being continuous permanent effects, scale more linearly, resulting in less proportional decrease in utility. Additionally, sigil stones, those floating ball batteries at the end of Oblivion gates, provide the greater effects than even the largest soul gems if you acquire them at level 17. So, with that in mind, which elemental damage is best? Well, the simple answer is Shock, but let's break it down. Navigating over to our friendly neighborhood UESP page on the creature resistances, we can see the Fire, Frost, and Shock susceptibility for every creature type in the game. Positives mean that they resist the given amount of percentage value, and these tasty red negatives mean that they are weak to the element in question. At a cursory glance, it's easy to see why Frost is the cheapest. 21 of the 40 listed creature types are resistant or normally immune to the element. Unless Flame Atronachs and Spire to Daedra are the singular bane of your existence for some reason, I'd skip this one. Fire is the next most expensive, and quite a bit better. Only 8 creature types resist it, with an equal amount of abilities. Unfortunately, the devil is in the details here. It basically roasts zombies and liches, with a few extra random creatures, but struggles against most Daedra, some of the most prevalent enemies in the game. Notably, Zivili, perhaps the most difficult rank and file creatures you'll fight, are resistant to it. Overall, not bad, but we can do better. Here we come to the creme de la creme, Shock damage. With a negligible 2 resists from, what are they again? Storm Atronachs? Okay, that makes sense. And Spriggans? For some reason? Doesn't lightning hit trees more often than the ground? Whatever. Questionable thematics aside, just look at those weaknesses. All of those same Daedra that were shrugging off our flames are getting lit up like a Christmas tree, including the big bad Zivili. Spoken! So now that we finally have the economy math out of the way, it's time to look at hit points math. The highest level that a new creature will spawn is the Zivili, type of humanoid Daedra that appears at level 22. Happily, this is also one of the toughest creatures in the game, so an excellent metric to pit our proposed weapon enchantment against. The strongest Zivili, because yes, even individual creature types in this game have variants, has an HP pool of 18 times your level, with a minimum of 360 HP. So, stands to reason you'd want a magnitude of 18 for your weapon to hit up the multiples perfectly as the levels go up, right? I mean, kinda. What weakness stacking math makes simple theories like that kind of fall by the wayside. First in our chain of unfortunate externalities of math is that Zivili have a 20% weakness to shock damage, which, yay for more damage, but it means more math, so okay, who am I kidding? Still yay. Anyways, it throws our table off just a little. So instead of starting at a base 1 multiplier, it starts at a base 1.2 and adds from there. If you're not alternating destruction weakness spells in between your swings, that's it. And honestly, this video is in the weeds enough as it is. The strongest Zivili, when you first can meet it, has 396 HP, meaning, with the shock weakness included, your weapon needs to have 9, 13, or 20 shock damage to kill it perfectly in 4, 5, or 6 swings respectively. It gets better though, because Zivili also have a 50% spell absorption, meaning we can essentially double those to an average of 8, 10, and 12 swings to kill them. Of course, the associated magnitudes have associated costs and therefore associated charges, so we have to make some type of efficiency determination. Quick maths with the associated charges shows that you can kill 2.5 Zivili with the 9 or 13 damage variations, or 2.42 Zivili with the 20 damage on a full charge. Now, technically these are not the highest HP enemies. That title belongs to Goblin Warlords at 30 times your level, with a minimum HP of 540. And they have a 25% magic resist rather than a weakness and spell absorption. I'm going to save us all the time listening to me drone over that whole spiel again and say I did the math behind the scenes and made a chart. 2.9 Warlords at 9 damage, 3.13 at 13 damage, and 2.86 at 20. So with those two quote-unquote toughest enemies efficiency rating combined, we've settled on a 13 damage variant. Small, tiny mention about the soul trap bit, fairly self-explanatory. Recharging weapons at vendors is prohibitively expensive. Barless stones are limited, and this is a set it and forget it solution that, in the words of the most famous presenter on this game,
all of this just works.
If, like I will be doing in my playthrough, you'll be supplementing this weapon enchantment with the matching destruction weakness custom spell, you can just as easily put it on the spell instead, eking out about 2 extra charges on your weapon. This is a particular consideration if, for some reason, you have high mysticism, lowering the total cost. And for any of you wondering about the 3-second timer on the weakness effects, it's simply a comfy number for when things go wrong. You need to block, you're staggered, the enemy absorbs your spell, etc. The grace window should preserve your multiplier and prevent you from going dry on charge mid-fight. And that's it. For all you lovely folks that stuck around through the whole video, you're a bunch of nerds, in the most loving way I can possibly say that. You're right at home here. Thanks so much for bearing through the nitty-gritty number crunching. I hope I was able to give you some peace of mind about making the true weapon to rule them all. See you next time.